Welcome to healthyayurveda.com. I'm Dr. Mike Dhaliwal, Vedic Sage. Today we'll continue with vāta subdoshas, this time focusing on Prāna Vāyu. As we know, the primary functions of vāta dosha are enthusiasm within the mind, breathing, whether it be inspiration or expiration, movement within the body, sensory perception, and the elimination of waste products. So Charaka mentions 5 subdoshas of vata, and Sushruta mentions the corresponding functions. The 5 subdoshas are prana, udana, samana, vyana, and apana vayu. Prāna Vāyu is located primarily in the head and neck, along with the thoracic cavity or chest. Functions of vata subdosha are mentioned by Sushruta, and the primary function of Prāna Vāyu is pūrana, which is to fill space. This is demonstrated as Prāna Vāyu being the driving force of inspiration, that which fills the lungs with air, allowing for oxygenation. Prāna Vāyu also governs the swallowing reflex, which allows the passage of food down the esophagus and ultimately filling the stomach with food. Other functions of Prāna Vāyu include reflexes such as sneezing, belching, and spitting, along with controlling organs of sensation, all of these functions which are primarily located in the head and neck. So the brain is arguably one of the most important organs in the human body. It controls and coordinates actions and reactions, allowing us to think and feel, all things influenced by Prāna Vāyu. The brain and various senses can be likened to the roots of a tree. The tree grows well when its roots are free from defects. Similarly, the body grows properly only if the head is free from diseases. Now, this may be a metaphor implying that the brain, which houses the organs of sensation, is influenced by the senses, and it's this influence which has an impact on our overall health and well-being. Or we can say that vata governs the mind, or manas, the mind governs the senses, and it's the senses which influences the brain. And it's this influence which affects our overall health and well-being. That said, altered Prāna Vāyu within the mind, such as excess anxiety, worry, and fear, may lead to impairment of thinking, which may then lead to the aggravation of doshas, vata, pitta, or kapha, or even the rajas and tamas within the mind, which then may lead to poor choices or bad actions, such as the intake of improper food and diet or the improper lifestyle considerations. And such vicious cycle, if not interrupted, leads to misery in the form of diseases. So Charaka reiterates this by explaining that the wrong utilization of the sense organs, excess utilization of the sense organs, or even the non-utilization of the sense organs as being the various causes of misery in the form of diseases. So we can see how psychological factors of everyday living, stress, anxiety, worry, can affect Prāna Vāyu, which then has an influence on our overall health. And this is also how meditative acts such as pranayama helps to gain insightfulness and intelligence to help guide our manas, or the mind, in ways which are most conducive to healthful living. So once again, the primary function of Prāna Vāyu is pūrana, which is to fill space. And this can be understood as the inspiratory phase of breathing. Essentially, this allows for oxygen to travel down the pulmonary tree in order to reach the distal alveoli for gas exchange, which allows oxygen to enter into the circulation. This oxygen is then carried and transported by red blood cells, or Raktadhatu, via the general circulation. And upon entry into the mitochondria, the electron from the oxygen molecule is used to create a proton gradient needed to drive the ATP synthase for the formation of ATP, ATP being the energy currency within cells required for life. By speculating, we can say that Prāna Vāyu provides the impulse within the SA node of the right atrium, which initiates the conduction for cardiac contractility needed for circulation, and it's this driving force along with Prāna Vāyu which delivers oxygen or prana throughout the body. And I would be inclined to attribute all of these contributing factors as being part of Prāna Vāyu. So once again, the primary function of Prāna Vāyu is pūrana, which is to fill space. And we can think of Prāna Vāyu as the inward and downward movement that drives the food from the mouth, down the esophagus, and into the stomach to fill the space within the stomach. And we can appreciate Prāna Vāyu a bit more if we can imagine much of Vata's actions are through the nervous system. And the 10th cranial nerve, or the vagus nerve, provides the parasympathetic tone needed for rest and digest, which is likely under the influence of Prāna Vāyu, considering it's Prāna Vāyu which propels the food down into the stomach, needing to be digested. Abnormalities of Prāna Vāyu may lead to conditions such as hiccups, coughing, hoarseness of voice, and even asthma, and other conditions from aggravation of Prāna Vāyu, perhaps in the mind, may include excess crying, weeping, sobbing, and even unusual laughter associated with mental conditions or insanity are also part of aggravated Prāna Vāyu. So these are just basic considerations of Prāna Vāyu. We'll continue to discuss these subdoshas one by one, eventually considering the management of such various imbalances. Meanwhile, hope you've enjoyed, and until next time, be well.